Welcome back, my name is Aaron. This is Char and BBQ. On today's video, I'll be making a barbecue rib sandwich.
Lift off and the clock has started.
So since it is the 4th of July, I decided what's more American than ribs. But instead of just making my normal ribs, I wanted to change it up a little bit, so I'm making a rib sandwich. Now, for this rib sandwich, I have a gold sauce that's gonna go on it, and also have some pickled onions and jalapeños as well. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim a pork spare rib to make it into a St. Louis style cut. All right, so this is a pork spare rib. It is not a St. Louis style cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna flip this over. You're gonna find the bones right about here, and we're going to square this off. Usually like this third bigger bone here, kind of feel through it. So you can cut through the cartilage, just make a square cut. I'm going to flip this around, make it a little bit easier, and do the same thing across. So this is going to be the final product of squaring up the spare ribs. Now this is going to be great for snacks. I'm still going to smoke this here. I might cut it into a little bit smaller pieces just to separate it some. All right, so I went ahead and trimmed and squared up how I want my ribs to look like today. So on this side, I don't like to trim any of the fat off on this part of the flap hair at all. I like to keep it on there. That gives it some extra flavor. But you do want to make sure that you get this membrane pulled off. Okay, so I went ahead and finished squaring up both these racks of ribs. Now this was already cut for St. Louis style. I just kind of trimmed off some of the flap meat there, and also went ahead and took the membrane off as well. All right, so I'm going to flip these ribs over on the back side, and I'm going to put some of this gold sauce that we made here. As you can see in this shot, it's called gold sauce. Kind of has more of it's a dark gold, I guess you would say, but it's a gold barbecue sauce. And I'll put in the description below, I'll put the recipe for it down below. I'm just going to take a little bit of this and drizzle some on this back side here on both of these ribs, because it's just going to act as a binder. I'm just going to rub it in. You can just use mustard if you want. You don't even have to technically use a binder if you don't want to, but I prefer to use a binder. It helps the rub, in my opinion, stick better to the ribs. For today's video on these ribs, I'm going to be using the MeatChurch Honey Hog Barbecue rub. It's great on ribs. I use it all the time on my pork ribs. Then also have, it's just an S&P, salt and pepper, that I'll put on top. So I'm going to go ahead and start seasoning this bottom side of these ribs. I think I'm gonna do the bottom side with this honey hog. I'm gonna do a different rub on the top side. Just a nice conservative coating of that on the bottom side. So same thing on the top side here. I'm just going to drizzle some of this gold sauce on top. Alright, for the top side I'm just going to use the MeatChurch, the Gospel. It's going to give it a nice color, which will help with the bark when we smoke these ribs. Go ahead and do this rack of ribs as well. Go ahead and top off both of these with a little S&P as well to finish it off with. And you'll just set this out for a couple minutes. 10-15 minutes, just depends on how long they've been sitting on already and the binder you use and all that. I'm just gonna let this tack up a little bit, and then I already have the smoker preheated to 225, and we'll go ahead and throw these on next. All right, so I went ahead and let the ribs tack up. I'm gonna go ahead and just place them on the top shelf here. Slide this back in here. Close it up. All right, so it's been about an hour. I'm gonna go ahead and check the ribs real quick. Spritz these snacks that we have so they don't dry out. Also going to do the tops of these ribs too. So the spritz that I have is a 50-50 mix of apple cider vinegar and apple juice. So he's getting some nice color on there. Go ahead and close it back up and we'll check it about 45 minutes to another hour. Alright, so it's been about 45 minutes or so. Oh, it's starting to look good. We'll go ahead and spritz the tops of these ribs. Covered up, and we'll check it in about another 45 minutes or so. Okay. Alright, so it's been about 2.5 hours. We've let them smoke at 250, between 225 and 250. So let's go and check them. What we want to check for is any rub comes off, so the scrape test. Go ahead and pull these off. See the bottom part there, looks real nice and juicy. We'll go ahead and get them wrapped inside. All right, so we're back inside. What I'm gonna do first for these ribs before we wrap them, I'm gonna spritz the tops of them real quick. I'm actually gonna put some extra rub on top. I don't knock over this brown sugar. Just a little bit. So first, a lot of people do this. I also like to do it. I like to take some brown sugar. I'm just gonna put some brown sugar in the middle. So next, usually I would use pads of butter and honey, but today I'm gonna be using Whataburger's honey butter. I'm trying something a little different today by using the honey butter. I've seen some people use it. I mean, basically it's the same thing as doing honey and butter, basically. But next, after the honey butter, I'm gonna be using this Head Country apple habanero barbecue sauce. I'm gonna put a little bit of this with our brown sugar and honey and butter mixture. All right, so we have that done. You're gonna go ahead and grab your rib. You're going to put it meat side down. Now, if you have anything that you want to pull off, these little burn up pieces here from the fat that was cooking off, you can. So on the top side, I'm just going to actually just spritz it some more with our apple cider vinegar, apple juice mixture, 1-to-1. And then put a little bit more of a coating of that rub on the bone side as well. And then you're going to wrap it. So go ahead and grab 2 pieces of foil here. So this way, when you do it like this, you keep the ends on top like that. I like to make sure everything is nice and sealed. All right, so we're done with the first rack of ribs. I'm gonna do the same thing to the second, and then we'll go ahead and put it back on the smoker. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and put these right back on the top shelf, meat side down. Close it back up. We'll check on them in about an hour or so and see what they're tipping like and what they're looking like with the bones disintegrating and pulling back from the meat. All right, so it's been about an hour and a half. We're gonna go and check on the ribs real quick. to do this, you definitely need some cottons or some type of heat-resistant gloves, with I have nylons on top. So you can see the bones disintegrating there, they're pulling back. I'm going to check the internal temperature real quick on these. I want these to be about 204 to 209. So I think I'm going to wrap them up again and leave them on for about 15-20 minutes or so. We'll come back and check them. So I just pulled the ribs off from being wrapped. I'm going to grab the small rack first. Going to drain some of that juice out first. Gonna lay this bone side down. Let's put some more rib on top. It'll bring some of that color back to the ribs that we had. I'm also gonna put a little bit of the head country apple habanero on top as well for a glaze. Just gonna base this on there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just throw this back on the smoker for probably about 10-15 minutes or so, just to get all this glaze and that rub nice and caramelized on top. All right, so the ribs are done. This is the final product after we glaze them for about 15 minutes on the Yoder YS640S pellet grill. For the sandwich that I'm gonna do, since we're making a rib sandwich, you have to pull the bones out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my knife here. I'm just gonna take it underneath this real quick. Set it this way. I'm gonna flip it this way. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some of these bones here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna twist and pull at the same time. Then I'm just going to take my knife here. I'm going to cut this section out here, flip it over. So this is the part that we're actually going to put on the sandwich itself. So now it is time to assemble our barbecue rib sandwich. I'm gonna make this sandwich. First, I'm gonna take this head country, what we're using to glaze the ribs with, and just put a small coating on the bottom there, on the bottom bun. Next, I'm gonna take this rib right here, place it on the sandwich. All right, so this is the gold sauce next. So I'm gonna drizzle some on top of this ribs here. And then these are the pickled onions and jalapeños that I made. Pretty simple recipe. Cup of distilled white vinegar, a cup of water, about a tablespoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. So you let that boil. You want to let the sugar and salt dissolve in there. And then you go ahead and moon the onions and cut the jalapeños how you like them. Then you pour that hot liquid inside, let it sit covered, and then you put it in the fridge once it's been cooled. So I'm going to take some of these onions and jalapeños. I'm going to call that good. So this is the barbecue rib sandwich. A little messy, but let's go ahead and taste it and see how it tastes. Good thing I have a napkin. Yep, best sandwich ever. All right, no, but honestly, I've never had a rib sandwich before, besides a McRib. You can never have a McRib again. This is the best rib sandwich I've ever had. The ribs are perfectly tender. They have a nice, sweet taste with a little bit of a kick with the apple habanero sauce that I put on there. Those pickled onions and jalapeños are perfect on the sandwich. And then that gold sauce, another kind of vinegary flavor, adds it to the profile. It is perfect and delicious. Try this recipe, you will not regret it. That was my barbecue rib sandwich. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other suggestions for us, please go ahead and comment them down below. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.